It's really hard to watch something great become less great. As I go for a walk and contemplate what I'm going to be doing over the next year with respect to moving to the US or maybe spending some more time in Spain, at the crux of where all of my thinking is coming from is this idea that when I was younger, coming up in my career, I lived in a province, I lived in a country where we were financially prudent and it was multicultural. There were a lot of good things happening. And where I'm stationed here in Calgary, Alberta, we had a debt-free province. We were getting dividends from oil revenue. We had a big heritage fund, a big government fund that was supposed to be available to us for a rainy day. And since I was a young man until today, I've just watched a descent into just kind of average okayness. And it's hard to watch that descent because that descent has taken a lot of hope out of the system for me. It's taken out the desire to want to be really, really ambitious and to create something really, really valuable past what maybe my daily, monthly, or yearly needs are. And I understand it. Our country has become very diversified over the past decade as people have come to our country from other places in the world that aren't as great as Canada. And even though I've watched the country descend to a lower point than what I recall it being when I was younger, people who come in at that lower point, to them, this is still the greatest place on earth compared to maybe where they're coming from. So I certainly understand where I might be out of line, where other people might not share my opinion. But as a husband, as a father, as a business owner, it's just been very difficult over the last decade to watch this descent into something that is less than what it was. And it's that idea that I know we've been better, I know we can be better, and yet with each passing day, it doesn't feel like we're getting better. Our political system continues to become very messy. Our healthcare system is very difficult. Our taxation and our government systems are just really hard to interact with. And you get to this point of saying, for all the risk I'm taking as a business owner, for the liability I'm exposed to personally, for the financial exposure that I have, for providing the capital and the resources that a business needs, I mean, is it really worth it? It's not always just a money thing. A lot of times it just comes down to, is all of the effort to help people provide a life for themselves, is it worth working with them? Because they have their own set of struggles as well. The cost of living is going up for them. We can't pay them as much as maybe they need to be making. And so it's just hard. It's just really, really hard. And after having spent the last couple of years in Spain for months on end, it kind of feels like Spain's on the other side of what Canada's just about to go into. And Spain's a tough country too. And so for me, the whole reason I'm vlogging and recording my thoughts is because there might be other entrepreneurs that are wrestling with the same general ideas and need a little bit of direction. And maybe in hearing me talk out loud about it, it helps you to think through what you're struggling with. And so, why do I want to leave Canada? I mean, in a perfect world, I think today I would spend 6 months in the US on a visitor visa. I would spend 90 days in Spain on a visitor visa, and then I would come back to Canada for 90 days as a citizen, take care of taxes and business affairs and anything else I needed to do. But why do I want to do it in the first place? And I think I've broken it down to this idea that in my head, anyway, if I go to the US, that there is an expectation that the American dream is alive and well. And by that, what I mean is this idea that you can go there, you can do and be what you want to do, and be around tens of millions, hundreds of millions of other people that might be trying to do the same thing, versus where I'm currently at right now. It's just not how our country is built, certainly not how our city is built. And so I'm just struggling with the desire to want to do more in a place where more is not going to be recognized, and it's just going to continue to be more difficult to do more. And so my mentality right now is do just enough so that we have a stable business and a healthy business that is organically growing. But don't do more than that. Don't open up a branch in another city. Don't try to expand because the country is just so broken, or so broken compared to what I'm used to. The country is very, very broken and is just going through a lot of stuff. And so maybe all of that energy would be better spent going somewhere else. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like maybe a year from now, I would submit for an E2 visa. which allows me as a business owner to invest in the US. It doesn't allow me necessarily to work there, but then it would force me to put together a team of really great Americans who are looking to create some value and chase their own American dream. It looks like it requires at least $100,000 in cash that has to be put at risk. And so over the next year, as I contemplate, maybe take steps towards that action. At least I think I'm kind of sketching out what it could look like. And so I'm not sure if I build a construction company there or if I simply take my startup and relaunch it there. There's some of those details I have to work out, and in coming episodes, you'll just hear how I'm thinking about it. I think Texas is probably the most comparable place to where I am now in terms of taxation. Austin, Texas has a pretty good tech hub from what I understand. During COVID, many people fled California to go to Austin, Texas, or they went to Miami. But I think Austin today probably makes sense. And so over the next year, I'm going to put together a business plan. I'm going to put together the cash. I'm going to make sure that my tech startup is more than viable and within a year is actually at a point where it needs to be scaled. And I would like to go and be part of a community that can help me do that. And then let's just see what happens. But I also have my own work to do here. So notwithstanding how I feel about Canada and Alberta, there's still an opportunity for me to make our business better. How do I do that? There are pieces of the business I'm still responsible for. And I think that there are new team members that we can put on our team and just create a really great local Calgary business that supplies the income that people want, helps them capitalize on the value that they have in their skill sets and in their ambitions and in their personal goals and aspirations, and really just design a team that can win and get me out of the way, because I think it's at a place right now where if I tinker too much, I might wreck it. So I dug into my old archives and I pulled out the good old E-Myth book I haven't read since I was a young man, but I'm going to be reading it again to make sure that there aren't any obvious system or process things that I'm missing. And really, over the course of the next year, try to build a business that doesn't require my active involvement. Now, I've tried this before. There are no magic bullets. There's no magical operator or general manager or controller or anyone that's going to really take full responsibility for the business. But I think I can put a team together that would be able to run this business collectively better than I can run it individually. One of the things that makes me somewhat unique is I'm not an owner operator, meaning I'm not out in the field every day doing the work that our team does. And there are people on our team that do an amazing job. And I think I need to give them better tools and other people to work with other than me that can really help them run this business at arm's length for me. So I've got a year to do that. That's going to be one of my big goals this year. We're going to double in revenue. That's going to create some new opportunities for me to get involved and make sure that I can support all of that. And while I'm doing that, maybe look for a few more really great people that are local that can contribute. And so as I build out the business plan for my E2 visa, as I put the cash together, as I decide what I want to do in terms of starting a business there or just moving my tech company there, all of these things will occur in the next bunch of months. And in these episodes, I'm gonna be talking about it. And I hope you find it interesting. One of the pieces that is a pretty big one for me is Spain. I've mentioned it a few times, but over the last couple of years, my family and I have been able to spend months on end there, and we typically go in the fall. And we've gotten involved with a local church that um, has been doing some pretty amazing things in the past decade. And one of those things is creating Montessori preschools for their local communities. And Lisa and I have been funding it. And we'd like to fund it some more. And when we're there, we volunteer and we really like to get involved. And so I think as part of being a husband, a father, and a business owner, another key role that I fulfill is getting involved in the community. And it just so happens that Spain really pulled at our heartstrings. It is a great place to take a few months off and work remote, which was one of my life goals to be able to do that. And so that's been successful. So between Calgary, between maybe something in the US and hopefully continuing to go to Spain, that maybe what's waiting for us in Spain continues to be more of like a life work future opportunity, that our life's work is to help build out these preschools, to make sure they're funded, to give them some resources, and to who knows, maybe look back after a decade and see that we were able to be very instrumental in the lives of a lot of young people that are growing up in a very, very tough country where upward economic mobility is hard to come by and just a hard problem. And as an entrepreneur, I like hard problems. I like doing hard things. And the added benefit is it gives us a destination as a family to go and spend some time with. I have 5 kids that are all getting to that stage in their life where they're going to be leaving the home. 2 of them already have. There's 3 more right behind them. And so maybe Spain will afford us the opportunity once a year to gather as a family, connect and catch up. And so those are all of the different pieces I'm thinking about. But right now, it starts with trying to understand, does going to the US make sense? I think in the next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit more about taxes because that's a big consideration, and really just think through whether Austin, Texas is the best place or maybe somewhere else. One of my criteria is I am getting tired of snow. And so um, that has to kind of be one of the one of the checklist items, that there can't be any snow. My son is currently in Nashville, Tennessee, and Nashville seems to be pretty great. But really, just this idea of leaving Alberta in Canada and pour my energy into another place where the upside will be worth it. Or in my own mind, maybe be worth it. Because right now, in my mind, it isn't worth building something in Calgary or Canada. And as I've said to many of my small business owner pals, Canada's not going to put someone on the moon. We're not going to create the next major innovation in robotics or artificial intelligence. We're just not going to move the needle on a global scale. And honestly, I would just like to be somewhere where I have the opportunity to do that. And maybe I could do it here. Maybe it is just a mindset thing, but in coming episodes, you'll get to hear me think through it. And maybe you find yourself in the same place, wondering the same things quietly and not saying them out loud. But that's where I'm at today. So if given the decision, do I stay or do I go, today is a go day.